Like on TV or stuff, I see a lot of like sexual harassment, like jokes and stuff like that. So like they don't really take it serious.
What he said.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of think the media portrays it as like that women are coming out more often now because it's more acceptable, and the media portrays it as kind of like it's like good to come out, whereas like 5 years ago it wasn't good, it was kind of frowned upon. So I guess it's getting a lot better now, and media's becoming more friendly to that.
I think within the workplace, I feel like they don't cover it as much as they should, because I feel like there's a lot of like, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of things that happen within the workplace that we don't know about that shows like gender equality is something that we still need to work on, and I feel like the media doesn't really show that side of it, and so I feel like it is definitely something that needs to be portrayed more.
I think the media portrays it as a low-level problem with a few extreme cases. And I think in reality, and they focus a lot on the extreme cases, but I think what doesn't get focused on is the kind of pervasive reality of the harassment, which is maybe obviously lower level than the extreme stuff that gets focused on, right? Sensationalism, bias, and all that. But I think there's a lot more of it that is persistent and present, and that women just generally tolerate and try to shove under the rug because it's easier than making a fuss out of it.
Media portrays sexual harassment as mostly like a women's issue, and they kind of talk about how it affects women, but I don't think they focus enough on like how men can do better, if that makes sense. But I think there's more attention being given toward it recently.
What are some ways that could bring more awareness?
Within the workplace, I think they lack an approach of looking at it as being a common problem and focusing on sensationalized cases. I think it is definitely a problem whose time has come, in that it's been going on forever and been undocumented. Again, I think they do need to stress that there are things that can be done, that the victims need not be forgotten, and they need to, granted, I'm not one to tell someone how to live their life, but the victims should feel that they can come forward with their stories. It's been swept under the rug long enough. So
yeah, definitely. Like a CNN wouldn't like make a joke of it, but like MTV would, stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Like more conservative news channels will portray it a lot differently than like CNN, your liberal news channels and stuff like that.
So I don't watch a lot of television anymore, but I feel like local television broadcasts do a pretty passive job of talking about it. It's very very little detail, very little in-depth stuff. I think they don't talk about like the persistent nature of it, maybe only like the headline cases here and there and in a passing manner. I think national news as well. Cable news is, I think, very polarized on it. So it's some groups talk about it a lot, and and some groups don't talk a lot about it a lot. So I think it is politically, biased. And I think print journalism is the only place that probably does it justice and talks about it in depth, and talks about it in depth.
if you look at Fox News, you are going to get a completely different picture than what you are going to get from, say, your newspaper or what have you. And obviously, there's no accounting for some media outlets' tastes and or motives for reporting, which is sad.
Yeah. Like infomercials, stuff like that. Just giving like facts, like on TV, broadcasting and stuff.
That, and also just like not making jokes about it.
I think just not hiding it, just because it's something that I feel like a lot of people know it exists, and like it's there, and it's like we might as well talk about it. Like, what's the point of like hiding it? Just because like then that makes it all seem like more sketchy. So it's like I feel like people should just be real and like say the facts. Like if it is something that like is a problem, like find a solution and like work towards like progress towards something better, and like don't just hide behind like your fear of like what people are going to say about it.
Longer segments, like, you know, the quick brief segments on like evening news and morning news can't give you a whole lot of information, and I don't think they incorporate stories very well. I think people learn through stories, and so if you're not letting the entire story develop and be told, you're just really giving sound bites and headlines, and that's really not a very good understanding. So I would say longer segments. That, yeah, I get that, you know, you have to get people's attention to keep them for that long, but I think television isn't a great medium for really understanding the story.
What's the solution to the problem? I don't see like a definite solution. If there was an easy solution, I guess it would like be in fact like
Already
it would be, yeah.
Honestly, I think right now it's really good, but I can see like maybe a little bit better, because right now it's kind of a dangerous time to like be a man and like, let's say, hook up with girls, and it's kind of like you have to be 100% positive, and I feel like that's kind of like a little bit deterring. So I don't know, maybe that could be improved a little bit.
I think probably like highlighting the ways that like regular people can like report sexual harassment in the workplace, or like maybe investigating how that happens, because I think probably like there's these big high profile cases and like that gets a lot of attention, but it probably happens to a lot more people than we know. So maybe like talking about how normal like not high profile cases can be reported.
I just feel like people need to realize like we're all equal. Like it's just like, I don't know, it's a lot easier said than done, but like I don't know, I think it's just very like old age of people to think that like women like shouldn't get paid the same, or like things like that, like women can't hold professional positions as well as men do, things like that. It's just like we're in the 21st century, like let's just realize that like times have changed, and like people are all capable of like doing amazing things, and so like just don't like stop having these like prejudices against like different genders and stuff like that.
I don't know that there's going to be a cut and dried solution to it, even in our lifetime, but I think we have taken a turn for the better in that urging the victims to come forward, that right there, and losing the shame involved and so forth, or just the fear of losing their job and so forth, will be a major step. If I look at newspapers or diaries, what have you, from the 1800s, this was no problem because it just wasn't reported. Mm-hmm. Women were at the bottom of the food chain, and it was, you know, a powerful individual could literally get away with murder. Mm-hmm. And that was all there was to it. Now it's still a problem, but there are now at least some tools to fight the problem with.
I definitely feel like social media is a place where like, just because it's an easy place for you to voice your opinion, and it definitely is something that is a big topic right now, and so I feel like social media is definitely a place where you would see it more, and you see more people like vouching for gender equality and like talking about it, as opposed to like news channels where I feel like there's a lot of like things that go into like what they can and cannot put on the news, as opposed to like Twitter or Instagram where you can just put your opinion out there and it's whatever. So I feel like it's something that's more well portrayed on social media outlets, especially because it's something that like people our age aren't really afraid to talk about. So